I'm going to put in here, transaction ID equals PIN signature, because we need to know, equals 8x8. 8x8 is our vendor. All right, so let me share my screen. Let me put everybody back in mute. I don't know who keeps unmuting everybody, but cut it out, will you? I keep muting you and it keeps coming off of mute. All right, so I'm going to have to trust us all to be respectful adults and put ourselves in mute. From an inbox that is noreply@8x8.com. And in that email, they are going to give you your user ID and request that you set your password. So setting your password is something that you'll only do once. Your sign-on will always be the same, regardless of what account you're working on or how many accounts you have set up, much like Everwell or Field Force Services. It's a single sign-on. You only need to establish your password once. Make it something that's easy for you to remember. Be done on the home page. So you see I'm on the landing page here. There's a Forgot Password button here. You do, however, need to know your username. If you put in your username incorrectly and put Forgot Password, it will tell you that an email will be sent shortly, but it will not tell you that your username is wrong. And if your username is wrong, you're going to be waiting for a password that isn't going to come to you. So if you experience difficulty with password or logging in, you can email me. My email address is tslyfield@aflac.com. I'll put that in the box. So you've got that. And I'll be on point to help troubleshoot, not only for password reset. And by the way, that is the number one thing that I troubleshoot on because the system is very, very easy to use. So you'll see that I have accessed this. I don't know if anybody noticed. I just clicked on my favorites bar here, my bookmarks, because I do have 8x8 saved as a favorite. And that's the way that I accessed it. It is a cloud-based platform. So what that means, guys, is that there is no special software to download, no hardware that you need to purchase. You access this just like you would Everwell or Field Force Services or Amazon.com or any other website that you frequent. You do see here that you can download the mobile app. We are not mobile enabled, so please disregard that. We are using this system off the shelf from 8x8. It is not a proprietary system for AFLAC, but we do not have this enabled for mobile. Right now, that is not something that our compliance department wants us to do. So once you have established your profile or established your login credentials, you can go ahead and log in. Now, this is only going to perform as well or as poorly as your internet connection is functioning. So if you live in a high-rise like me, your bandwidth will probably be decreased at certain times of the day, which you probably are already aware of, and you're going to experience some latency or some difficulty here. I would ask you to do a speed test if you feel like the system is running slow, you're having trouble with it, to make sure that your internet quality is good. And if you don't know how to do that, you can just go to speedtest.com and, excuse me, they've got a method for you just to check your upload and download speed. All right, so I've launched the application panel. So from here, I believe I have a choice that you don't have, quality management, but that's okay. You don't need that. The selection that you want to make to get to your agent dashboard is the virtual contact center agent. Remember that by the headset and the monitor here. So I'm just going to click on that, and that's going to launch the agent dashboard for me. Again, working only as quickly or as poorly as my internet is working. All right, so when it logs me in, it's going to log me in on a break. The reason for that is if I was assigned to an account, let's say I had an enrollment that was open this morning for inbound calling at 8 o'clock, it would start ringing calls to me, 8 o'clock Eastern, that is. I see we have some people from the Central time zone as well. But it would start ringing to me if I logged in as available, if I had inbound calls coming in. Also, if there were voicemails for me to collect, those would start ringing to me. So the system is equipped with voicemail. So if it is after hours or all of the agents are busy, callers have the opportunity to leave a voicemail. And something really great about the system is that those aren't sitting out there dormant, waiting for someone to come and collect them and forget about them. They will push out in real time as soon as somebody becomes available. If it's after hours, they will ring to the first person who logs in the morning. Another important point I want to mention, for any account that you have set up with 8x8, I just mentioned voicemails will ring in to the first person who logs in. It's only going to be the first person who logs in who is assigned to your account. So even though other agents are on 8x8, if they are not listed as an enroller for your account, they won't have access to that. All right, so I'm going to set myself to available. And the first thing I want to do is establish my profile. Now, the system is actually running slow. It already gave me a message that it was running slow. All right, so I'm setting myself to available, and I've got a menu. I'm on the left side of my screen is where I'm taking this action. I've got a place here for menu where I will select profile. Before I do that, I want to point out all of this white space here, and it says cases assigned to me. You will never see your cases listed here. This is really for contact management here. So if I wanted to input that, okay, this morning at 8:55, I spoke to Brian Hanley. He told me he wasn't prepared to enroll this morning. Can I call him back later on today? Simply to record that conversation you're having with your applicant and generate a transaction ID, which is the PIN signature that you use to sign on behalf of the applicant. All right, so we're not going to worry about cases assigned to me. I will show you another spot where you can see and verify what you are set up for. And I get a lot of calls about this too, so I'm going to point this out to you several times so that you know where to find cases assigned to you. So there's a red blinking light here, and this is for a notice that someone has posted. And I'm going to show you how to collect that in just a second. But before I do that, I'm going to go to the menu and select Profile so that the profile page can load. All right, I'm going to click on the notice, and we see that Darlene Miller is posting that she received a call from Lakeisha Cummings, and in the middle of her application, she was having phone issues. So Darlene is probably notifying everybody that should this Lakeisha call back, transfer the call to Darlene. All right. So on the profile page, you'll see that much of this at the top has already been pre-populated for you. Excuse me. Your eyes probably went straight to this where it says disabled, direct agent access disabled, agent voicemail disabled. That is the desired setting. So please don't call Teresa freaking out about that either. That, hey, enrollment started 10 minutes ago. I just logged in and my agent access is disabled. That is the proper setting there. What you want to do here, when you log in, you will see under the personal information, your name will be grayed out. You will need to input your email address. That's a required field. It's got a red asterisk there. And select your country. Then you will establish your workplace phone. So in this box here, you would type in on your computer the phone number that you would like connected to 8x8. So do not put in your market office line. Do not put in the toll-free number that I've given you to say, okay, this is the number for XYZ company. You're all set to go. Don't input that number. You're going to input your phone number. So I've input my cell phone. By the way, you can use your cell phone or you can use a landline phone. Either one is fine. If you are using a landline phone and expecting inbound calls, it does need to be a direct dial though. So direct dial phone for inbound calling, whether it's a cell phone or a landline. So type in that number on your computer, and then underneath here, it says make verification call. Click that. That is interactive there. My phone is now ringing. When I answer that, I hear a message that says, this call allows you to check your phone connection. I can go ahead and hang up once I hear that. So this call allows you to check your phone connection. You now know that you successfully dialed in the correct number. Hey, some of us have to think a minute or two to know our own phone number. But you've dialed in the right number. You've successfully connected with 8x8. But very importantly, at the bottom of the screen, over towards the left, there's the red 8x8 logo. There's a save button next to that. Click the save button so that you have your number saved in. So even if you've input your number, made that verification call, if you have not saved your phone number, calls will drop to you. You will not receive any inbound calls, and if you go to place an outbound call, it will get dropped. So you see my screen changed. It's telling me it's contacting the server. A pop-up will appear momentarily that tells me my profile has been successfully saved. All right, I know somebody was working away in the chat box. Let's see what we've got. All right, so Shelley wants to know, does it ring to a person licensed to handle the call, or will they come to the first person to log in? So for voicemail does not have geographic routing. So that's going to ring to the first person that dials in. Calls that come in, however, do have geographic routing. So an important thing for you to know when establishing your accounts, for call center enrollment, agents need to be licensed and appointed in the state of residence of the applicant. So if you are crossing state lines, you need to make sure that you've got the proper licensing. If it is an Aflac group account, you also need to be licensed and appointed in the state of residence of the applicant, but also the site estate for the company. All right, so we've got confirmation here. I'm connected. So by the way, if your enrollment starts at 9:01 Eastern time or 9 o'clock Eastern time, I would not recommend, as you see, this is taking a minute for me to get myself up and running. I would not recommend that you dial in at 9 o'clock. So make sure that you've baked in some planning time every day to get yourself dialed in and ready to enroll. So I mentioned to you that the case page is not where you are going to see information about what you're set up for. And I just toggled here from these tools. These little icons, whether you see them here, you see them here, those are tools, and they'll allow you to toggle between the different functions. So I'm going to go back to my profile page because I told you we're not going to see your cases on the Cases Assigned to Me page. We are going to see them here on the assigned queues. So I know this may be difficult to see because this is grayed out, but this is showing my inbound calls. So inbound, we've got Teresa set up for the ABC Test Case Alabama, ABC Test Case Florida, ABC Test Case General, and ABC Test Case Rhode Island. So if I want to check what I'm set up for outbound, I am set up for the ABC Test Case outbound codes. So this is where I'm going to look to see what I'm set up for. All right, so once I've done that, once I've put in my phone number, I have saved that, I've checked to see what I'm assigned, what accounts are set up for me, I am ready to enroll. So I can go over to the left side of my screen to my dashboard. If I have reliable outbound numbers, whether I'm working from a census, a roster, lead sheets, I can go ahead and start placing outbound calls. If my call center is open at 9 o'clock this morning and I set myself to available, then inbound calls will start ringing to me. But this is not the field of dreams, guys. If I am expecting inbound calls and I have not done a good job to set up my enrollment, market to the employees, generate enthusiasm, if I don't have buy-in from the employer to remind those employees that, hey, it's open enrollment time, don't expect the phone to ring. So conditions are conditions. Whether you are meeting with employees face-to-face or over the phone or through another virtual method, conditions are always going to drive what your commissions are and what your results are. So make sure that you've done a good job marketing to the employees and that they know how to enroll and they know that phone number that they need to call in to. All right, so I see we had a question before I place an outbound call. I see we have another couple of things in the chat box. Does each 8x8 group I have need to be set up this way, or do we set it up once and cases are then added? Great question. So cases are set up at the account level. You are not set up, they're not set up at the agent level, and then we just add cases to your profile. It's not that simple. It is set up at the account level. And the reason for that is that we're establishing a toll-free number for each account, or we're adding it to a market line that already has an established number. So that's a little different process. But an intake form is required for each account. The complexity of the case will be determined by how many enrollers you have and how many states are impacted, because we have to build out a queue for every state that's impacted because we've got geographic routing. So if you saw down here for the ABC test case, they had to build out, for me, they had to build out Alabama, Florida, Rhode Island, and the general inbound. If there were more states they wanted to build out for me, each one of those takes a little more time. There was something I wanted to tell you. Oh, so here's what the caller experience is. When somebody dials in to the system, so as I said, you'll be given an 800 number, a toll-free number for callers to call in on, and that is not Teresa Slyfield's personal 800 number. It's going to be the XYZ company toll-free number that Teresa Slyfield is an enroller for. So when they dial into that number, because we've got the geographic routing, the first thing that those callers will hear is a recorded message, even if it's during business hours. And it'll say, "Thank you for calling the XYZ company enrollment hotline. This call will be recorded." That message is customizable, and we ask you for that language on the intake form. But that's the standard, and you'd like to just keep that short and sweet so that we get somebody to a live agent. So, thank you for calling the XYZ application line. This call will be recorded. I see you're calling from the state of Florida. So they're going to recognize the area code that the caller is calling from. And as we all know, people's area codes sometimes do not correspond with where they live. So it'll ask them first. I see you're calling from the state of Florida. Is Florida your state of residence? Press 1 for yes, 2 for no. If they press 1 for yes, they are then routed to an agent who is on the phone, assigned to the account, licensed and appointed in Florida. If they press 2 for no, they are then prompted to put in their 5-digit zip code. And then the routing takes place from there. All right. I see we have another question about this. Is that just for inbound or outbound regarding the different states for setting up a case with Texas and Ohio that will be outbound only? We just covered a lot of information before I got to that question, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to answer that, Clint. Why don't you pull yourself off mute and ask your question?
Yeah, hey, Teresa. So looking at your assigned queues there, you have your states, and those all show inbound.
Yep. So these icons here are interactive. So this handset here shows me inbound. This one shows me outbound.
Okay.
So if someone goes to look and see what their outbound queue is, they would just press the outbound handset here. So it's difficult to see because the type is light here, but this one has the handset and an arrow pointing in. The icon next to it has the handset, arrow pointing out for outbound.
Okay. See that. I was just curious. We're getting set up a case that's outbound only. And we'll have 2 locations in the state of Ohio and state of Texas. So I didn't know we'd need to do that, really set up those queues just for an outbound service versus inbound capabilities. But that helps.
Okay, great. So let's go ahead and place a call now. We've done everything that we need to do on our profile. We come over to the left side of the dashboard here. So from here, you've got several tools here. You've got the phone, you've got chat. You can chat with other agents who are online right now. That is not chat with your applicant. That is chat with other agents. You've got email. We don't use that feature at all. And I'm sorry, guys, my team is in a group chat here, and they just keep sending messages this morning. And then we've got the status, agent status. And I'm going to spend some time on this because I get a lot of calls on this. Everybody is nosy and wants to know what's going on with everybody else who's logged in. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. What we really want to do is get an applicant on the phone. We don't want to worry about all these features in 8x8 that we got no business worrying about. We want to get connected to an applicant and deliver that quality benefit experience, benefit enrollment experience, and get them signed up for the products that they want. So I'm going to select the handset icon. I have two lines here so that if I need to put somebody on hold, I have the ability to do that if I need to call out on a second line. But line 1 automatically is going to turn blue. In the box under that is where you will initiate this phone call. So any calls that are to be recorded in 8x8 need to be initiated from your computer. So in this box here, I am going to type in on my computer the phone number I want to call. All right, so I type that in and then press dial. Right under the phone number box is dial. When I do that, a list comes up for me from which I need to select what account I want this call associated with. So I am going to select ABC case, and then press dial again. We've now got dial. So what happens now is the system is calling Teresa the agent. You see it says dialing agent. When I answer that, it now calls out to my applicant. So it is placing the call to my applicant. I've got a second phone here, and I'm just going to go ahead and answer that over there. I am now connected on a recorded line. So I'm not going to run through the scripting. I do have sample scripts if you'd like them, but attached in today's invite are the compliance guidelines that will give you the requirements for conducting your enrollment. So of course you need to let the applicant know that you're calling from a recorded line. You're going to confirm their identity. You're going to ask them all of the medical questions. You're going to run through the benefit elections, capture what their elections are, read all of the disclosures to them, and then confirm back everything that they have enrolled in. So that's essentially what you're going to do. Now, what we want here, if you look on the left side of my screen, about halfway down, we have a couple of different aspects here. So we've got phone, it's showing me who I'm connected to. We've got transaction, and this is the critical information that you need out of 8x8. So number 1, we need to record the call. This is why we need this. But secondly, we need this transaction ID because that is what we use to endorse the application on behalf of the applicant. So if I scroll down here, I'll see I'm connected. Here's the phone number I'm connected to. I'm on the ABC test case. And at the very bottom here, I've got a transaction ID. This number is unique to this particular phone call and recording. So at a later date, if we needed to find this recording, we are going to be looking for recording 219945. So I would suggest you copy this, jot it down, whatever makes you feel comfortable, but make sure that as soon as this call connects, you capture that transaction ID because that's what you need to endorse your application. When you flip over to Everwell, and you should already have this open, when you flip over to Everwell or whatever platform you're using, you should have this already open to the employee screen and ready to go. I'm not doing a demonstration of Everwell this morning, but you know that the order of the screens is that you would confirm identity, capture any beneficiaries or dependents. You're going to run through the benefits, capture their elections. The place where they endorse the application isn't until the very end, but we're generating the transaction ID at the very beginning. When the call ends, because this transaction ID is unique to this phone call, when the call ends, that transaction ID disappears. So critical that you grab that at the very beginning. So a best practice that I would also recommend is why not give that transaction ID to your applicant at the conclusion of the call. That'll remind you to go back to it. So when you're confirming their elections, if you would just say to them, okay, so Clint, thank you for enrolling with me this morning. I want to give you the confirmation from our conversation this morning. It's 219945, so that they have that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end this call. I can do it on my phone, or I can do it on my screen. I don't know if you noticed there was an end call button there. And you'll see my my dashboard is now gone into post-processing. That just gives me a minute to get myself collected and ready for my next enrollment. So if I was enrolling in Everwell, I might go back in there, get to the next employee screen so that I am ready to enroll. Now, when you're on that employee screen, where it asks you to select the enrollment method, you are going to select PIN signature. PIN signature is the enrollment method for Virtual Call Center. So that's what you'll select there. Now, if you want to pull yourself out of post-processing, just hit end post-processing, and you are ready now to place or receive another call. All right, I am going to go back to the chat box and see what we've got here. Okay, I see we have a question that was asked and answered. Thank you, Clint. I love it when our trainers are on the call with me. Yes, and TC, always write that number down. Yeah, definitely write that number down. If you have multiple cases running concurrently, do you have to designate which case you're calling from before making outbound calls? Yes. So you saw that once I input that number, press dial, it does ask me which case I want this associated with. Now we also see, I've got some junk here. I've got things that are not mine. We saw I'm only set up for ABC test case outbound, but because ABC case is my master case and there are other people assigned to that, some of their things appear here. That does not mean I have access to those accounts, but it may appear on my screen, and we're working to clear some of that out. All right, so before I make an outbound call, I want to spend some time on something that I get a lot of grief over every single day, and troublemakers who is taking my time telling me that, hey, Teresa, I am logged in right now, but I only see myself under the ABC test case. But I am also assigned to ESS and United Airlines and to Brevard Public Schools, but I'm only listed under ABC test case. The reason for that, guys, is that you will only appear under the first account you were ever set up for. And it might be your market line. If you're in the Northeast territory, you guys were part of a pilot, and I set up everybody who was VCC trained at one moment in time. I set all of those folks up with access to their market line. And let me just find one here, and I will show you what that looks like. All right, well, nobody's logged into one of them, so I can't show you, but it's like VCC CT/RI or VCC MIW, your market office, so Michigan West or Connecticut, Rhode Island. So you'll find that there. You'll also see other cases. So if you are a case manager, so this is important too. So, for example, Brian, when you go to see who is logged in for Portillo's, if they have been working other accounts, let's say they were assigned to Genesis or are assigned to Genesis, they will only show under Genesis. They're not going to show under Portillo's. So if you're looking to see who else from your account is logged in and accepting calls, you would just put their name in the box here. So you would search for them in this search box. So I don't know who we're looking for. Let's look for Sydney Slyfield. We're not going to find her. But you would just put it in the search box there, and you'd say, oh, well, Sydney isn't logged in. She's supposed to be working this morning at 9 a.m. She must have slept in. Maybe I need to give her a call. So again, guys, actually, somebody put it in the chat box. No prizes, but you get bragging rights. Somebody put it in the chat box. If I am not looking under agent status, that's just to see who's online. This is not showing you where they are, what accounts they are assigned to. It's showing you what their online and availability status is. So think about it that way. Agent status means what is their availability right now. So we see Teresa is available. Sarah is logged in, but Sarah's not available right now. So in the chat box, guys, where do we find our assigned queues? All right, so yes, PIN is what you use as the signature on the application. There is no record button. You are automatically recording as soon as you are connected through 8x8. What else? Yes, this can be done on paper. It can be done with Everwell 2.0. It can also be done with Aflac at Work, Solarix, Ease, Employee Navigator, WeCare, IES, Enrollment Architect, or Falcon. So just make sure your enrollment platform will allow you to enroll on behalf of the applicant, and check with me or check with your market office just to make sure that it's going to be compatible. But those are the best use platforms. So I can put those in the chat box. Aflac at Work, Ease, IES, Falcon, which is also Enrollment Architect. I'm showing my age here because I've been with Falcon for a long time. These platforms. So we don't cover that in our 8x8 training because really we're covering 8x8. So make sure if you're using a third-party integration that you've maybe conducted training with your case manager on how you're going to capture that transaction. All right, so in the attachments, there are the compliance guidelines. The very last page of those will indicate for you how to sign a paper application. But essentially what you'll do in the signature line, you're going to put in app taken by VCC, or just VCC, transaction ID or trans ID, the code, then put in the date and the time. So the application doesn't ask you for the time, but if you could indicate that as well, that's just going to help us later if we need to marry that application with a recording. So make sure that you just capture that time as well. All right, I'm going to go through the chat box and see if we missed anything. Queue status. Thank you, Brian Hanley. Thank you, TC. So yes, so on your profile page, we've got your assigned queues, and that's where you are going to find what you're assigned to. Queue status over here on the left, that is not going to show you what you're set up for. Where it's going to show you is over here on the assigned queues on your profile page. All right, so here's a good question. So you have an account that has three different account numbers. It's got different pay cycles. You may need to set those up differently in Everwell. You need to set them up differently at the account level for billing. In 8x8, if they are all related, they only need one number, one toll-free number for the account, one intake form. Just put the different account names, put the account numbers. There's room for you to add multiple account numbers. You do not need to make 3 different requests for that account. Also, for those of you who are in New York or have an account that has an Aflac New York group number and it's got an Aflac US, those can go on the same intake form and be set up for the same number. Now, within a group, though, if you want different employees calling a different toll-free number, if you need to separate them out for whatever reason, even if they have the same account number, we can do that as well. So we can set it up for, let's just call it, we've got different benefits maybe for the management team than we have for everyone else. If you wanted a line just for the management team to call into and a line for the hourly workers to call into, we can set it up that way as well. We can also set up prompts. For example, I have a broker who has a general line, and on that they have set up prompts. To speak to Nicole, press 1. To speak to Patrick, press 2. So we have the ability to set up as many as 9 prompts for you. So there's a lot of customization. If there is customization that you'd like to perform, have a schedule an appointment with me so that we can talk through it and make sure that you've baked in enough planning time, because any customization that we do, of course, adds to the build time. All right, let's go back to the phone. So over on the left side of my screen in the black box, I'm going to go to the phone here, and I am going to call in so you can see what it looks like when you are receiving an inbound phone call. So another thing I want to point out to you is this right here is your default caller ID. So the first account you were ever set up with, the default caller ID is going to appear here. So all of the toll-free numbers for your account, your different accounts. So if you've got 5 accounts set up for 8x8, all of those caller ID numbers will not appear here. It'll always be the first one you were set up with. When you choose which case you're calling out from, then the toll-free number will follow along with that, the appropriate one. So this is the number for my test case, but if I were to make a call on Genesis, what would appear when I phone someone would be the toll-free number for Genesis. All right, so I'm going to dial in, and I'm going to have to listen to the recorded messages first, that thank you for calling the ABC test case. And it's going to identify where I'm calling from, and then I have to respond to the prompt. Enrollment line. All calls will be recorded. So there we go. I've confirmed where I'm calling from. So you'll see. My phone is ringing. This is lighting up. My screen is lighting up. It's showing me that I have a wireless caller calling on the ABC test case. Now, if I'm not focused on ABC test case today, if this is a perpetual line, I'm focused on something, an enrollment that's ending tomorrow, I can reject this call and it'll go to somebody else who's assigned to the ABC test case. But if I want to go ahead and accept it, I will answer on my phone. I did that a little too late, so it's gone. But that is what it looks like. There's no mistaking when you're getting an inbound call. Your phone will ring, your screen will light up, and then it has that detail for you for that transaction to let you know who it is who's calling. So again, if you have 3 accounts that are running at the same time, you have one that's ending tomorrow, and you want to be focused on that today, you can go ahead and reject that call. It'll either go to voicemail or go to somebody else who is assigned to that account, or just go ahead and answer your phone as you normally would if you want to take the call. Now, your phone is still usable to you. So you saw that when I placed an outbound call, I initiated it from my computer. When I received an inbound call, it also came through the 8x8 system. When your phone rings directly to you, even when you're logged into 8x8, you are not connected through 8x8. So it's not on a recorded line. So if you're looking for a phone call from your market director, if they dial in directly, you'll be able to answer that. You are not on a recorded line. If you want to place an outbound call outside of 8x8, you would just use your phone as you normally would. So open it up, hit the phone icon, and dial the number. Again, you're not being recorded. All right, so I see some activity in the chat box. Let's see what we've got here. Yes, you can enroll Aflac Group using paper apps. Yes, you can unmute and ask a question. Oh, question answered. Okay. Estimated build time for a typical one-location Aflac traditional group using 2.0. That's going to be about 5 days right now because the volume is very high. Paper apps all day long. Yep. All right. I have a group set up. I got my email today. How do I add call center agents at this point? And how long will it take to approve them? Okay. When you submit your case, submit your enrollment team. But we can make revisions afterwards. So what I'd like you to do now is send me an updated intake form adding that enroller list. We need their name, their writing number, and their email address. So this is an important point, guys. You're not going to have the ability to add somebody to 8x8. So you want to submit your enrollment team at the time that we set this up. Because you are going to fall in the queue. When you've got updates, we do have somebody who is assigned to troubleshooting and updates rather than case builds, so we can kind of pull those things out of line so that we can address them more quickly. But it will take some time right now because we are in the thick of enrollment season. We're not getting face-to-face, and virtual call center is a very, very popular tool. But Jim, go ahead and send me an updated intake form and we'll get your enrollers added.
Teresa?
Yes.
This is Jim.
Hi.
Will I be able, because my enrollment's the 4th, which is next week, will I be able to conduct that without the extra enrollers until they're added? Or does it?
Yes.
Okay. So I can go ahead and do everything and just get them added, and when they're up and running, they can jump in.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
That's it. That's okay. So I've shown you guys everything I want to show you. We've got a few more minutes. I'm checking the chat to see if I missed anything. Thank you so much, Clint, for picking up some of the slack for me. I really appreciate that. You guys go ahead and take yourself off mute. If you've got any questions I can answer, be happy to do that.
I've got a question just for clarity.
Sure, go ahead.
So you'd mentioned in the signature line, you put that the app was taken by VCC at the time and the transaction ID.
Correct.
Was that specifically for a paper app or in Everwell as well?
No, that's specifically for a paper app. In Everwell, you're going to get a pop-up window, and I can share that with you. Let me just see if I can pull it up right now. Stop sharing this. Get my Everwell screenshots. I can't show you in Everwell because I'd have to go through. Let's see, 2.0 screenshots for setup. Let's see. Actually, Clint sent me these. Approval. All right, so that's not at the employee level. Let me see if I got another one here. You know what? I'm sorry, I don't see this easily. But you will get a pop-up window. It'll be evident to you what it is that you need to do because it'll ask for the PIN signature.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So you'll need to, at the case level, you also need to, I already told you that at the employee level, you're going to select PIN signature as your enrollment method. At the case level, though, you do need to set your account to your enrollment method as VCC or virtual call center. What you'll then see in Everwell at the case, it'll say virtual call center pending approval. Once your account is synced with 8x8, then it'll show that it's all set. If you see a pending approval notice, refresh your screen. If you've already submitted your intake form and I've told you that it's all set, refresh your screen. Also, when you go to set up an account, let's say you've already sent me in the intake form. I've confirmed for you that the account is set up for 8x8, but you haven't gone and made the changes in Everwell. When you go to set it up, a message is going to pop up that will tell you this could take 7 to 10 days. That is not specific to your account. It's just a general pop-up message so that people are aware when they set an account to VCC that it could take that long. But if you've already submitted your form and I've told you it's set up, disregard that message. It's not going to be another 7 to 10 days to get that established for you. Also, if you get a message that says your account does not meet the threshold, the number of eligible lives, but you've got approval for it from me, don't worry about that message either. Those are not barriers. They're just little reminders and messages. So they're not going to prevent you from proceeding. What other questions do we have, guys?
Teresa, can you show me one more time on 8x8 on the outbound calls? When I do my outbound calls, I can't see the different cases, and I don't know. I just want to watch you do it one more time just to make sure I'm just looking in the right places because I'm going to be on 3 cases at once.
Okay. So when a call comes in, it's going to, are you outbound calling, you're going to put in the number you want to dial and then press dial, right? Can you see my screen? Your list will pop up. Pardon me?
That doesn't pop up on my screen.
Okay, so you need to make sure that you've saved your phone number. So put in your phone number. If you've got 3 accounts set up, you should get a list. If you've only got 1 account set up, you will not see a drop down list because there's only 1 account, so there's nothing for you to pick. If your accounts have been set up on a market line, you're not going to see your account name here. What you're going to see is VCC and then your market office code after that.
Okay. All right. So if I have it, it should pop up, is what you're telling me.
Yes. Yeah, you should have the ability here. Now, where you can check is on your profile. Go to assigned queues, and you should see all of your outbound codes here. They should be
Right.
listed here.
Yeah, and I have 3 cases listed right now when I'm trying to set up a 4th, but when I do the dial, I haven't seen that drop down list ever pick up.
Okay.
I'll reach out to you separately. Maybe we can look at it.
Okay, what I'd like you to do is do what I've just done. Put in a phone number, press dial, and send me a screenshot of what appears on your screen when that happens.
Okay.
Okay? All right, do we have any other questions? Any general questions, guys? Any specific questions, please give me a call or send me an email. I am always going to want screenshots. So please make sure you send screenshots so I can best help you. So we're a little bit over time. My phone is blowing up and my instant messaging is blowing up right now on Skype. So I'll take one more question. And then if you've got anything else, please email me, tslyfield@aflac.com. This is not a good phone number for me. All right, I'll go ahead and let you go then. Thanks, everyone. Let me know how I can assist, and good luck with your enrollments. Everybody stay well. Thanks for joining me this morning. Bye-bye.